Hey YouTube, Paul Oz here. I am returning to review this pickup right here, the DiMarzio Liquifire John Petrucci 6-string pickup. I'm going to do what I did with the Crunch Lab demo. I'm going to run through a bunch of different tones and different styles of playing so that you can really hear it. There's no kind of noise gate. The EQ is pretty basic. Treble is about, I don't know, 2 o'clock, middle is like 3, bass is at about 11, just to give you some kind of, I think it's a little warmer of a sound, it's a little bit more cozy perhaps. So let's have a listen to the highest gain stage on this Marshall. As you can see, it's kind of reminiscent of like a smoother kind of a, not an 80s searing lead tone, it's more of like an almost jazzy kind of lead tone where you kind of have to incorporate a bit more feel into the playing. Now I'm going to put on some effects so you can really kind of feel the tone a little better in terms of actual playability with some kind of musicality. Is a really evocative pickup in the way that it really allows you to hear the mistakes that you make, big time. But at the same time giving a lot of dynamic of sound. Like you can really hear the difference when I pick. You can hear how the pickup responds accordingly to how you're playing the actual guitar. So let's have a listen to cutting the volume knob in half so that we have less gain. Like I said, very evocative pickup, lots of dynamic range, and I mean, the EQ setting is set to be more of a smooth lead sound, which I personally think this pickup excels at. I don't know about extremely heavy metal kind of stuff, but you know, you might need a bit of a boost for it. But other than that, this is one of your true blue, very honest sounding pickup. It doesn't cover up with a bunch of needless gain or compression. Now let's try clean setting. sounds very smooth as well, honestly. The gain isn't very much up there on the amp just because it's very, very finicky with being like 50 dB and 0 dB. So this is kind of supposed to be for bedroom volume kind of clean playing. It's a very rich sounding clean, and if we cut away all the effects now, let's have a listen to what it sounds like. Pickup, guitar, cable, amp. Not much to talk about, eh? So the treble isn't very much there, which leads you to understand that this is a very mid-bass pickup and very kind of low bass, lots of mids, not very much treble, just enough to kind of cut through a little, with enough dynamic to give you some flavor, but I don't necessarily like that. Because, you know, I wanted to try these out with some metal stuff, and it turned out that it wasn't working out very well when I tried to do solo stuff. Especially with the angle, I found that these pickups weren't very easy to calibrate and EQ with the angle. Mic placement aside, it was just a bit of a pain in the butt to get a great tone out of them. And it wasn't until I experimented with this Marshall that I actually got the nuances that I wanted out of it. Now let's hear some crunchy jamming country crap. Fun, man. It's quite a simple, good old-fashioned crunch sound. With this, even with this Marshall, which isn't the top of the line, you can kind of hear how it's got a lot of spunk going on. You can really hear how when I'm digging in it, just the note loves it. It's almost like a very cute, typical jamming funky tone, honestly, man. The smoothest crunch ever. In terms of note definition, I'm not really seeing that there is much there. I mean, there is. But there just isn't as much as, let's say, the Crunch Lab, which I found to be a little bit more responsive to the chordal kind of But when you do hear the very single note, the pickup really shines then, when you're playing a single note. And it's not so bad there, so I would recommend this pickup if you wanted to get a lot more dynamics out of your playing and you wanted to be able to play some jazzy kind of. If you wanted to get some cool sounds going, because you can really manipulate this pickup a lot, despite the fact that the chord voicings that you can play with this won't necessarily sound as good as on a guitar with bare knuckles or something like that. But then again, this isn't a high gain pickup, this is more of a softer, man. Anyway, I want to get some more goo back on this tone because now I'm feeling all Santana and shit. Yeah, man, pretty solid. And once you are able to control your own crappy palm muting, because you will really start to hear your own mistakes with this pickup, you really begin to clean up your own act, let's say. And by that I mean you begin to work on your definition of hitting the note the right amount in terms of velocity, in terms of how you want to hit the note. And how you approach leads all of a sudden becomes quite different with this kind of stuff if you're a metal player predominantly, right? So have a demo if you can of this pickup, if you can find it in a JP6 or something, and you might find that it has a little bit of a different characteristic just because this is a maple neck, mahogany wings, quilted maple top guitar with ebony on it, and of course the bridge system is probably going to be different as well, especially on the JP6. I think it has alder, don't really remember. So it's going to sound different, of course, but this demo isn't supposed to replicate a JP6 demo. It's supposed to be a demo of what this pickup sounds like in this ESP Horizon FR2. So I hope you've enjoyed the review, and I hope that you subscribe because there's a bunch of other lessons and tutorials coming up because I said so. And eat some shrimp.